Welcome everybody to another episode of the Soulpreneur Secrets podcast. And I am absolutely delighted today to introduce you to Lynn Glenister, who is another Huber astrologer. It's a style of astrology. It's a Huber school, which is what I studied with, and it's quite different to other schools of astrology. So I'm really amazed to have this conversation. And Lynn and I have sort of like vaguely known each other over the years, mainly through other Huber astrologers, and we've just sort of like started connecting. So this is one of our first conversations. So welcome, Lynn. It's really lovely to have you here.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. To touch base with another Huber person. We're sort of scattered around the universe, and even the training I found was quite challenging to access physically. But yeah, it was a real mission to be on it. But that's part of it.
Yes. So tell me a little bit. You didn't start with Huber though, I think.
No.
How did you start?
Just in the normal astro training, just to find out the aspects and the signs and the meanings of each element, and it was always been a fascination. And so I trained with a local woman for, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years. And then I went on a mystical tour to Crete on a holiday, which was astro involved, but happened to be with a Huber teacher, and I didn't know the difference. I just didn't know what Huber meant. I just thought, oh, it's astro. And we ended up, me and a friend, in this olive mill in the middle of Crete, down a dirt track. And it happened to be 9/11 time. So we were there on our own with this teacher. And it was very interesting. And I just loved it straight away. I just felt the difference of the feeling into the soul journey and how it was deeper than, for me anyway, than just the usual astrology. Well, nothing about astrology is usual, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So it seemed to be that I was led there, and it has been a massively interesting adventure to learn more and more about it and the soul journey for myself as well first.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think that was what I loved about the Huber training. You've done the diploma with.
Yes, yeah. I didn't quite complete it due to personal circumstances, sadly, but yes, I went quite far with it and met all the lovely people. And the Hubers themselves, well, the son came over.
Right, Michael.
Yes, and met him. Yes, that was great. Yeah.
But I was going to say, the thing that I loved most about, when I did the diploma course was the fact that I had to work with my chart, friend's chart, and my tutor's chart. And you say working with my own chart.
Yes.
Was just such a journey, that it was quite unexpected. What that actually revealed for me. Amazing.
Yes, it is amazing. I always say that to friends and clients that come for readings, is that this will be a huge delve into finding out about yourself on ways that you have no idea, and why you're here, why you're here in this universal experience.
Yes. And so for you, when you first, because you were already studying with someone else who presumably had originally studied with a different school.
Yes.
So you were being taught sort of like one removed, if you like, from a different school. What the teacher you had, what school had they been trained with? Do you know?
To be honest, I can't remember. I mean, it was just a sort of such an adventure with her. I didn't really discuss her modalities or where she trained.
Didn't think about it.
I didn't think about it. No, I was very drawn to her. I just saw her advertised in a local magazine, and I just thought I want to have a go at that. And it was all very lovely and basic, each sign dealt, and then going around the chart. But it didn't take me at that time into this almost realm of well, it can be past life stuff, it can be all sorts of things. It comes gradually, but I was just so excited when I met this new way of perceiving astrology as well.
Yeah.
The deep connection between, so within, so without, and nothing separate, and the messages. And I like to explain to my, oh, sorry, my phone's going to ring now. So I turn that off. Then it's almost like having a computer program, inside you that's downloaded the day you enter. You've set it all up, and then each day the planets are speaking to those apps, and because they find it hard to perceive the all the different layers of it. But yeah, so it's been a big journey.
Cool. And so, can you say a little bit? You've sort of indicated, that you felt that the Huber method sort of took you deeper. Were there like specific things, techniques they used that you felt were different and that really grabbed your attention?
Well, the method of teaching, of course, was so different, and as you say, the exploring of the tutor's chart and your own, my own. I was really underestimating the importance of of learning from mine. I sort of put it off a bit, just and then suddenly got it. And I've sort of, like yourself, attended many of their different modalities, and sorry, I lose words. But, symbiosis across the chart, and I don't know, I just lapped it up, and I can't really put it into words, but I just knew there was something very important about this method. Yeah. And it has, and psychologically, because I'm a Virgo, so I mean, obviously, mercurial aspect of me is very curious about what makes people tick. So I'd been storing up all that information over the years anyway, about signs and how people, interact with each other. So to put it into the way that Huber explains it, about how we relate to each other, and can see that in the charts through, each other's signs and across the chart stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how would you explain it, because I'll put it back to you.
Well, to tell you the truth, other than having been taught by a friend how to construct a chart,
yes,
and read just a bit in a few books, I being, I've got a strong ninth house, so and third house, so I was immediately, where can I find a course?
Yes.
How can I learn this officially? And it never even occurred to me that there would be different styles.
No.
I happen to have a Resurgence magazine. And in the back, they had adverts, and there was an advert for the Huber School. And what jumped out at me, and the thing that has always been so significant for me, was their use of color.
Oh, color, yeah. Yeah.
The chart is so colorful compared to, a more traditional style astrology chart. And I think because, I, for example, like I struggle to read. So for me, too much detail is just, it's like, when you have charts and they have all the degrees on all the, it's just like, oh my God, this is overwhelm. I can't cope with this.
Yeah, you've just reminded me, that's one of the things. Absolutely. I can't read those charts now. I can't.
No. I just, for me, the Huber chart is a picture.
Yes.
And so, it's a picture. Okay, I can get into a picture. I can get into something, like that's visual. And so I started, I did the little introductory foundation course first, and then I jumped into the diploma. So I didn't actually know that I was learning in a different way to other schools. I didn't know that for at least another 10 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe less, but one of the striking things that happened to me, which I realized then was something different about any other form of studying, was because I'd been brought up as a scientist where everything was facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was doing the diploma course, it has 4 terms, doesn't it? And the first term, well, I didn't get very good marks. You know, it was like C. I was like, you know, I'm quite competitive. I'm like, well, what am I doing wrong? You know, why is this not good enough? And I, of course, you know, every time I got given a homework, I was researching it all in the books and trying to write it down in my own words. And oh, it was terrible. And then I got this assignment, and I don't know, I think I'd had a pretty tough month. And I thought, oh, I just need to get this written. I thought, oh, I'm just going to write about what's happened to me in the past month and relate it to the astrology.
Yeah.
I got a star.
Yes.
And I was like, oh,
yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah.
They don't want me to regurgitate information.
Yeah.
They want me to speak from my own experience.
Yeah.
And that was it. You know, that was it. I was off. And I soon, then I started to meet, I started going to Rainbow Circle camps, astrology camps. And there was, of course, meeting all these other astrologers. And I started to realize that actually I was using astrology in quite a different way to the way that they most of them had done faculty school. And that obviously there were quite a few things that were significantly different. I had one woman come up to me because I was sort of, you know, get friendly with them and saying I'd like to run some workshops and things. And one woman came up to me, she was sort of the top woman. She said to me, "We do not see Saturn as the mother, and I will not have you teaching that on these camps."
Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? Exactly. Now you're talking to me, I'm seeing all the things that you mean. What is it of different? Yeah. And the age point and all that, the Saturn as the mother, and you know, and the shapes and meditating on the shapes. It's all so different. It is so different, and it resonated straight away, and that's why I think knew it was for me after doing this very, as you say, it's not straightforward, but just this, you know, really just looking at it as degrees written in the chart. And I mean, I don't work that way. I teach like you're describing, from experience. My experience over the past month, their experience over the past month. How can you relate it to what's happening? You know, what's guided you? Yeah. So that's it. Thanks for reminding me. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Oh, I you know, I love the family model. You know,
the family model.
Sun, the sun is your father figure, Saturn is your mother type figure, and the moon was who you are, and people get that, they see it so easily, and then, you know, saying then that also relates to your ego model, you know, where the sun is your mind, the moon is your emotions, your body is Saturn. So how can you correlate what goes on with you with what went in your family model?
Absolutely, it's perfect, isn't it? I mean, it's exactly how I work. Lovely.
And of course the end point, I mean, what a delight. It is so simple. It is so simple. I must admit, I have tried teaching that to faculty astrologers, but no, they like their secondary progressions and their progressions and everything, and to tell you the truth, they give the same answers. You know, right early on, I've got a very dear friend who was faculty trained, and we decided that we would take the same chart and that we would both do a reading from exactly the same chart and see whether we actually came up with the same things, even though we were using completely different techniques.
Yes.
And it was exactly the same. We said exactly the same things. So I don't think, you know, it's not that we come up with anything different. But then sometimes I just think, you know, I don't really see much in a chart. I can do them, you know, adding things up in it. I can see where the age point is, but I don't really see a chart until the person's sitting in front of me.
Yeah.
It's like then they've really given me permission to look.
Yes, that's right. I love that. And it's almost like there's a sort of a spiritual connection that comes
Yes.
through, that allows you to speak through the, you know, and they can, I think it's just absolutely magical. It's not, you know, it is scientific, of course, because astrology is scientific. But to me, because, you know, I also touch base a little bit with psychic stuff. So I mean, you know, just get messages through, and it just be able to speak the chart as you see it, and
Yeah.
that's amazing. And the person can receive it very personally. But I did, like yourself, I went to a meeting in Glastonbury some years back, and there were some other trained astrologers there. And I felt like you know, I'm an absolute fraud. You know, this is years ago. I'm not doing astrology properly. I don't understand what they're saying. I can't read their charts with the degrees in it, you know, messing it up. And so we did partner thing, you know. So I read this woman's chart as best I could and how I read, you know, and she read mine. And she said, "Oh, I wish I could do it like that." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, you seem to know." I said, "Well, it's not." I'm puzzled here because I'm feeling I don't know from your chart. I'm not reading it because I can't see it through the degree marks on your chart. And so that's the difference, isn't it? It's very, very interesting. And
Very.
yeah, and then why the Hubers set it up, I should imagine, is very much the same. They didn't feel it went deep enough for them in that way.
Well, he was very psychology based, wasn't he?
Yes.
You know, he came from Freud and Jung, basically. I did get to meet. I was very fortunate because I actually joined the school at the late 80s, early 90s, and I did go to Switzerland, and obviously they came to the UK, so I did get to meet them a couple of times, and I actually had my diploma
Oh,
assessment.
wonderful! Yes.
Yeah, my diploma assessment done by them as well. So yes, I was very blessed in that way, and I got to meet Michael as well. But it was pretty obvious that Michael didn't have really what Bruno had. He was working at a very different level again, in a way.
Yeah.
But for some reason, he didn't quite have the to get it out there. Yeah, I'm not
No.
quite sure what happened there.
No.
And then, of course, I was very involved in the Huber School in the UK because I only lived down the road, really, from Joyce.
Oh, lovely Joyce, yes.
Yeah, and I used to go to a lot of her house often. And in the end, she wasn't my first tutor, but she became my tutor. So I was quite closely connected to Joyce and to Richard. And I also used to teach at the summer schools. Did you ever go to a summer school?
Went to one, yes.
Right, because
Yes.
they used to be every summer, and you basically, I think there were 3 different types of retreats,
Yes.
summer schools, and you know, for the 3 terms or whatever. And I used to teach the first one with a guy called Jeremy. And what I mean, the summer school you went to, was it like several days? I mean, they used to be about 5 days.
Yes, yeah. I can't remember. You know, it's awful, the memory, but there was a lot of people there. I was looking at their photographs the other day. No, it was a wonderful experience, I must admit. Yeah.
And because what got me about it was there was no sitting down and like lecturing type teaching, nothing. It was purely experiential. We had to wear scarves, we had to make masks, we had to act out.
Yes, that's right, exactly. And act out the parts, the archetypes of the planets and things, you know, I love that. Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely adored those summer schools. And yeah, really, really loved them. Unfortunately, yeah, it's sort of like, I don't know what happened. I think it happened with every astrology school in the UK, that their numbers just fell off very dramatically.
Yes.
You know, it's weird, but then, you know, the Huber course, they said the minimum time you could do it in was 2 years. They didn't want you doing it less than 2 years because you had to go through a personal journey yourself. Well, I took 7, But I knew of other my contemporaries, some of them were taking 15 years to do the whole course.
Yes,
It's a huge commitment.
Yes, it is.
Huge commitment and deep dive. So one of the things that I noticed about all astrologers, doesn't matter where they come from really, is that everyone gets onto a particular technique or a particular something about doing astrology or the chart, and they're so fascinated with it, they take that on and they sort of follow that thread, and sometimes they have more than one thread. So what would you say that yours has been? What's your particular thing that you've really dived into and you would say, yeah, I know a lot about this?
Well, I mean, the base of my work, I suppose we'd start there. What my longing is through my own experience of life and what I've gone through to end up being an astrologer, is that I see how the chart can help people to see what their relationship with themselves is, because that's something with my North Node in Aries in the 7th house, if we talk astrology, is that I've been seeking that relationship challenge for myself. It's huge, with Libra being in the 1st house ascendant position, of course, coming in, very much attached to the relationship with another, if you like, this longing for connection, and losing myself in that, because I have Neptune on the ascendant as well. There's lots, I mean, I won't go into that too deeply, but this sort of line across the chart, the challenge, the red line pointing to the North Node in Aries, which of course at the moment is kissing with the transiting North Node.
Yes.
It's huge for me at the minute.
I bet.
It's massive. So I suppose that journey for each person that I interact with fascinates me, because I am very psychological. I'm fascinated by the psychological side of the chart. So I mean, I have focused a lot on that, and Saturn, because I'm a very Saturnian chart person. The mother.
Are you in Scorpio or Libra?
Saturn is in the Aquarius house in Virgo, so it's in the 11th house.
Oh, you've got Saturn in Virgo. Okay, right, yeah.
So my sun sign is actually the same degree as Saturn in Virgo.
So your sun Saturn?
Yes.
In the 11th house?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. What's your relationship with groups and community?
Oh, yeah. Well, as you can imagine, the journey to find where I fit in has been quite interesting. So that's, I suppose, those aspects of people fascinate me, finding their way to the 11th house, group, gift that they're bringing, the consciousness gift, because the opposite side of Virgo, of course, is the Pisces connection to conscious, the group consciousness. So I think that I had a interesting family chart, and that step parenting, singular parent thing, very very much growing up very quickly, very adult.
Where's your moon?
Moon's in Capricorn, in the third, fourth, sort of just cusping. So
Okay, so as a child, you home was really important for you.
Absolutely. But because it's not quite properly into the fourth, I've never found the home that I've felt comfortable or acceptable in.
So it's in the stress zone of the fourth.
Yes.
See, now that's another interesting thing, isn't it? Because I don't find other astrologers use the position in the house where the eyes is significant. And for me, I have some stress zone planets, and they are really significant in terms of how hold you back from going for what you want.
Yes, absolutely. So I've always been seeking that place where I feel at home, where I'm accepted in my home and my differentness, because I'm with that Aquarian house placement for my sun sign. I've been seeking this because I'm quite a rebel, but
You have to be to astrology.
yeah, but coming from a very sort of traditional home, if you like, but
Right.
underneath the undercurrents of that not being traditional. But yes, so yes, it has launched me into this search, and I now find that I am sort of finding my tribe, my soul tribe, but it's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think anywhere where Saturn is, it takes a lot longer to get there than if it was,
Yeah.
some,
Yeah.
Venus or something. Yeah, I've got Saturn in the 10th, and I was told years ago, all people with Saturn in the 10th, it takes a long time to find your career. Do you know what? I actually came out as an astrology teacher and decided, right, this is it. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
As soon as I got my state pension.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. I love it. I love it.
It's taken me my whole working life to figure out what it is I do.
Yeah, well, you've been seeking, of course, you're Pisces, aren't you? Yeah, is that right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So beautiful. So I did the traditional start to life, if you like, but then basically rocketed off into my own self-employment right from 28, from Saturn return.
Well, I've been self-employed since I was 25 as well. Yes. There's wait, what do you put that down to in the chart? This
What,
rebellious
self-employed?
nature. Where's your Uranus?
Uranus is in Cancer in the 10th, 9th, well,
Oh,
9th, 10th,
there you
yeah.
go.
Mm. Yes, let me just check. I'm just going to check exactly the degree of it. So yes, it's just into Cancer up near the MC. The top. Can you see?
Oh, no wonder. So you had to have an unusual career. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. And it just, I was, as we find in our authoritarian world structure, is that you're supposed to have a box, aren't you? Well, my boxing never worked for me, like school and all that.
yeah.
Always the outsider, the naughty girl,
Well,
whatever it was.
I mean, I think, I meet a lot of people with Uranus on one of those, cardinal points. I've
Yes,
got Uranus on the descendant.
right.
It's stressed, but
Yes.
it is the closest thing to the descendant. And so yeah, I'm always where's something unusual happening? Where's the unusual stuff going on?
Yes, that's right, exactly. I'm always sort of dressed, like you, how I feel that day.
Yeah,
Sort of go for it, wear it all if you feel like it.
yeah.
So no, it's
So
great.
so 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 going back to my question,
Yeah.
so one of the things you really dived into, I'm saying, is when you see somebody's chart, you particularly look at the nodal axis and at Saturn.
Pattern and also their parenting,
Right.
the family chart, because the unusualness of the interconnection of the child, the moon expression, they may not have any communication with Saturn and the sun sign at all. And
No.
that child's been totally isolated, that sort of thing. That's really a big clue for me. That's where I start. And then I
Well,
say that to them.
also,
They say, "How do you know that?" you know,
well,
how do
you know what?
you
It's
know?
weird because my chart is dominated by a large learning triangle
Right.
between Saturn, the sun, and the moon.
Aha. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I won't go into my family history,
Yeah.
but so if I just want to, because this focus on the nodal axis, for example,
Yeah.
um, but that's relatively common amongst other astrologers as well,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they would call that evolutionary astrology, I think, don't they?
Okay. Yeah. Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that
Mm.
it's quite a common topic for people at the moment. I must admit, the node, obviously, I always look at it. I always look, what house is the node in?
Mm.
Because obviously, I always talk about you know, you're on a path, it splits, and you don't know which way to go.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
go the way
yeah,
the north node is pointing, the house of
yeah,
your north node.
yeah,
Which of these choices is going to give you that more?
yes, yes. Well, the South Node comfort zone. Yeah,
And
yeah.
really, that's about all I do. I
Mm.
would say that the thing that I have most taken forward is the age point.
Oh, the age point.
Yeah,
Yes, I
the
love the age point. Yeah,
psychological process around the
yes,
chart.
yes,
And I do a lot of chart rectification. Do you remember we were taught how to do chart rectification?
yes,
I get
indeed.
other astrologers coming to me saying, could you rectify this chart for me? We don't know what time they were born.
Oh, yes. Well, this is it. I'm doing one today, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
And it's such a simple take. I mean, okay, if somebody has no idea, then it's
Mm.
not as straightforward. But if somebody says, well, I think it's sometime between 10 and 12,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, we can nail this for you. We can find this out
Yeah.
for you.
If there's a clue. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like literally age point on Pluto.
Yeah.
Nobody escapes that.
Wow.
Nobody escapes that lesson from Pluto.
No.
You know,
True.
people might never notice a Mercury or a Venus or a Jupiter or even a Sun. They might not even notice, or Mars might not notice any of those. But you cannot avoid a point on
The
Pluto.
Pluto.
It
No.
will get you.
Absolutely. I know. God, only too well.
And
Yeah.
and I think as well, what I love about it, because I find that a lot of people believe that their personal story of pain is unique, whatever
Yeah.
it might be,
Yeah.
and that other people haven't been through pain. And I think the age point on Pluto, you know, I say to people, everybody has Pluto in their chart.
Yes. Yes.
Nobody can avoid this.
No.
We
That's
all
true.
have to go through our own, whatever it is.
Shadow. Yeah. Mhm.
Yes. And it's just it comes at different ages.
Mm, mm.
But it happens for all of us, and everybody will have experienced it by the age of 44. I think that Pluto often gives small children a break.
Not my daughter.
Oh,
First
well,
house.
yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, so yeah, fabulous. Absolutely fascinating. As you know, I've now started teaching my
Mm.
own, I can't say it's Huber, but
No.
I've started teaching my own style of astrology, which obviously,
Yes.
because I am a Huber astrologer through and through. We were talking about Chiron before we began
Yeah.
recording, and I might just cut that bit out and stick it in because it was really interesting. But you know, Bruno said, "Well, why would you use Chiron and none of the other asteroids?" And I
Yeah.
thought, he said, "Listen." And it's true. It's like you can have one thing in a chart that says this about somebody, and then there's something else that says exactly the same thing, and then there'll be something else that says exactly the same thing. And you're like,
Yes.
you said, there are so many layers that all corroborate each other. So
Yeah.
why add more? Keep
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
as simple as possible. And basically, I thought, do you know what? The way I read a chart now is so simple.
Yeah.
It's so pared down. And I thought, so now I literally teach it in 10 lessons. What took me 7 years.
Yes.
I mean, they don't get the house chart. They don't get the nodal chart. They don't get, stuff that, you know, some of the stuff I don't even use myself anymore. I remember there was quite a lot of some stuff. But
Yeah.
they get all the basics, you know, they get the colors, and they get the you know, learning the subpersonalities, you know,
Yeah.
find out for yourself, and they get the aspects, and you know, they get the
Yeah.
age point, and they get transits, and you know, and basically that's
Yeah.
all I do when I read a chart.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Actually, you just reminded me of the saying about the Pluto. Is that very much that has been something that I have delved into a lot, because when I moved, the universe moved me down to Somerset through many a strange journeys. I went to a retreat astrology teaching by Judy Hall,
Okay.
and she was focusing on the Pluto moon. And that has set off a whole delving into the ancestral female wounded, what's born through the woman, and it follows through, the Pluto journey, the Pluto connection of the things people experience when they're disconnected from their mother, or they can't relate to the mothering. That's just one small example of it. Obviously, it's huge, but
that's fascinating. I'd love you to look at my chart around that.
Yeah, so that has, it's funny, you're reminding me all the time of stuff, because I tend to be a bit like, how do I say this? But so that has been a huge influence on how I look at a chart as well. Where's the connection? If there's a connection between Pluto and the moon, or we've got a Scorpio moon, or whatever, it usually means that someone is very much carrying the ancestral mother wound through. And,
that is so interesting. We'll do this some another time, but I'd love you to have a look at my chart around that.
That's the unique thing that I do and teach a lot. I've got a class this Saturday, so we'll be looking at a bit of what's going on there. So
brilliant. So Lynn, so in case people listening to this would like to contact you, especially because you are based near Glastonbury, and I know a lot of people, down in the south. What's the best way of them contacting you? Where's the best way of them to find you?
Right. Okay. Well, there's my email, which is lynn.glenister@btinternet.com, which we can put in the chat or whatever.
Now it's Lynn, Lynn.
Yes, Glenister, GLENISTER @btinternet.com. Very interesting. Very simple.
And you're also in Facebook, aren't you? As Lynn Glenister.
That's right. Lovely to touch base with you, Deborah, and deep delve with you. This is magical.
It's been fabulous to actually to get, and I'm absolutely fascinated by that Pluto moon, because I'm really into this mitochondrial ancestry that we have. Line. So I'd love to talk about that more. Maybe we could do another podcast on it.
We will.
Once you've talked to me about it, and I sort of go,
yeah. No, it's fascinating. It is so clear as well. It's one of the easiest ones to see.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Brilliant. All right, darling. Well, thank you so much.
And thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.